When we witness a wave moving upon the ocean, we see the water appearing as a rippling and undulating wave that is perceived by our consciousness and interpreted as the moving ocean waters. However, the wave is not the water, and the water alone is not the wave. Water shows us that the wave is present, but only as the wave is actually happening in the presence of the water. However, without the water, the wave could not occur, and without the wave, the water could not express this flowing demonstration of energy in motion upon the seas of the ocean. The wave itself is a signal. It is an indication of a state of affairs of other events that transpired before we witnessed the undulating ripples upon the surface of the water. Although we do know not of the origins that caused these undulating movements interacting with the particles of the water, we are simply aware of its happening. This is the confirmation that consciousness has received the message that it had sent out on its path at the first cause, the signal in the distance that, no matter how quickly or how long it takes, is received when we observe the wave coming up from the depths into the physical plane of experience. Consciousness is a spiral-bound pattern. It is fractal in nature. It is always commenting on itself, notifying itself of its presence, all in the divine purpose of informing itself to be aware of itself. The term communication is the word I am using to express information with you. What I am trying to communicate from one consciousness to another is what I have been informed of through various other forms of communication I have received from somewhere else, which is essentially still consciousness. This communication is just a relay of a message from the objective world that envelops your subjective experience while you are receiving it. It is received by you in a personal experience that you can understand based on your unique makeup. You have your very own unique expression that is made up of all of the different communications you have received over your lifetime, along with all of your own thoughts, imaginings, and understanding that you have been building up within this part of yourself since the day you came into this world, and even beyond that. Since consciousness is made from consciousness, this is the same type of expression occurring in the law of conservation of energy states, which states that all energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form of energy to another. This means that a system always has the same amount of energy unless it's added from the outside. The only way to use energy is to transform energy from one form to another. So, everything that we see, experience, or perceive all comes from one source. Many call this God, but for the sake of uniqueness and less weighted language, I will call this the first cause. This first cause is beyond our perception. All things come from a thing that made them, and in some sense, still the same thing that created it, just a different, three-dimensional expression of itself. So, without your active awareness of it even happening, your unconscious mind begins its search for patterns within this subliminal realm within your mind. This search for meaning begins the recognition and then bubbles up into your conscious awareness as a thought. Thought is the last stop on the train of perception, understanding, and insight. Thought is the corpse of the spirit. The spirit is the living knowledge. And once the spirit moves down into this mind that sits in our skull and becomes a thought wave, it is now the fallen watchers. Thoughts are the echoes of the soul's first true origins, which is in the spirit. The heavens, or the space between, that is beyond the perception of men. Thinking is the first death. It is the death of the conscious awareness of the connection to the first cause. This is where the separation happens for us, not to us. For in this separation is where the fun is. It is in the forgetting that we can play the game of revealing to us, consciousness, God, the first cause, that we are. And consciousness itself will always rise to the origins of who it is. It will always seek to evolve, just as is the way of all things. For when it no longer seeks to evolve, it no longer can know itself. And since it cannot be anything but what it is, no matter how long it takes, it will evolve into a form that can rise and reconnect to what it is, which has not been that, or so it thinks itself not to be. Yet this is just a veil of illusion that consciousness has draped upon itself. This hiding value of consciousness is important, for it is in the not knowing that the desire to know becomes apparent. And in this desire, the seeking begins. And in this seeking, the reconnecting occurs. The reconnecting causes the evolution, which in turn sustains the reuniting of the first cause to all of the parts that separated into the many ripples and reflections of itself. This is occurring at all times, to everything that is, was, or will be beyond comprehension. This is essentially consciousness, always communication. From the first point, but seeding out and branching into endless paths, loops, and courses of direction. You can say that if we are not paying attention to the path we are walking on, or don't have a map of where we are going, we are literally wandering around in the dark. But to be able to receive the communication that consciousness is trying to send from the first point of consciousness to where we are now, there are so many steps that we are unaware of that it is a far bigger pattern to decipher than we can even fathom. What if you were to be able to receive a map, or at least a set of directions to a destination? Would you use them? Would they be any good if you were trying to read them in the dark? Would you want to follow the map? Because you are an individuated unit of consciousness that has free will to make whatever decision you want to make. And what effect would that have on the environment you are in? And how would that decision create another vein in the body of this consciousness system? If we know that consciousness is expressed in the form of a wave in this third dimension, the physical reflects the metaphysical. The wave is not the water. The water merely told us that the wave was moving by. The water was the reflection of the wave, but the wave itself is not the water itself, because the water can also be still, or the water can boil, or the water can become any other sort of material and constitutions. The wave, however, though it is a force and it is an experience, is only a passing experience for the consciousness to experience in the moment of the wave. The water is the medium through which we can experience the wave in this reality. When we come from a place of absolution into this plane of existence, this realm of duality, this world of nature, it is anything but natural for a soul, as a being, to become a human being. For nature is of this world, and our spirit, our original source code of being, is not of this world. In being human, the human becomes less and less of a human being and resides as a divided manifestation, already dying as it comes into this life, becoming partitioned into human nature and individuating itself into divided sections of the first cause, fractured divisions, thinking they are only the partial fractals of perception they can cognize. But in the recognition of the duality, this is only the communication. The signal in the distance, echoing through the paths and pavements we traverse on this journey. Consciousness persists, and in this persisting, you can receive this message to help you become aware of yourself. For in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So within the waves of the language, you are surfing on your unique expression of the source, enjoying the waves of this gnarly existence we call life. The waters may not always be calm. There may even be sharks and dangers of unknown origins lurking in the water's depths. But we are riding on the sine waves of sentience, existing to ride the waves of perpetual locomotion, progressing as we take passage over the rocky seas of eternity. Through and through, within an expression, we are revealing more of the original cause, the one consciousness that created us all, and remembering that although we appear to be water, we are, underneath the surface, the wave of all possibilities.